And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio from Columbia High School, promoting our school, securing our future since 2011 here in the Treasure Valley. Jake Polton joining us, who hit the buzzer beater recently. How are you, sir? Why don't we get you a little closer and pot up his mic, and we'll roll along. Tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
I am a 17-year-old basketball player at Columbia High School. Basketball is pretty much my life.
It's your life,
yeah.
So let me ask you some hard-hitting questions then.
All right.
What about the sport of basketball appeals to you so much that you're willing to put down the gaming thing, not go out and spend a lot of times throwing a ball through a hoop, sir?
It's always been my passion since I was a little kid, just to take my mind off things or, just spend hours doing it. It's always been my passion, and I've always loved it.
And what about the game do you love?
I just love the craft of it and how everyone can have their own game, be their own unique player, and I like having my own unique game myself.
All right, I'm ready for the backhand from you on this one. When you're not playing basketball and you're not thinking about playing basketball, what are you doing?
So like no watching basketball?
No watching basketball. I mean, you do go to school, though, too.
Yeah, I definitely stay in the books, keep my grades up.
Sure.
But I like to hang out with my friends, just go out, spend time outside, do whatever. I do play Fortnite. I don't know if you know what that is.
I know the name and some of it, but yes.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Right.
I like playing it. I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. I just like hanging out with my friends if I'm not playing basketball.
There's nothing wrong with that. Tell us a little bit about the team.
Our team this year?
Yeah.
Our team this year had pretty good success for one of the first times in the school's history, and I think that's definitely credit to how hard we worked together in the off season and during the season. And our coach, a really great coach, Coach Tennyson Triple,
right?
Helped us stay together. We had a couple slip-ups throughout the season, losses that we shouldn't have taken, but he helped us stay together and helped us, continue to have success.
When we take a look at what lessons you'll take away from Columbia High School, can you share a few?
I don't know if you know, but we went through quite a few losses throughout my high school career, and it taught me a lot. Taught me to stay loyal because I could have left, went to another school and had success, but I wanted to start something here, start my own brand, and yeah.
Sure, being a part of history, making history.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next for you?
I'm gonna go play at the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to figure that out right now. It's kind of stressful, honestly. There's quite a few schools I'm looking at, but.
Sure, a lot of people dream of that. Now you're in the process of it. So could you give us, and I know you don't want to tip your hand, maybe 4 or 5 that you're thinking about?
Yeah, probably 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
And then it's really starting to pick up right now. Because this last week, probably 4 or 5 schools have just contacted me, new schools. So it's kind of picking up when I thought it was dying down. So.
Sure. What is that like when you get a call? You get a call from the coach, or how does that work?
He'll either contact my head high school coach because he's been the one contacting quite a few schools, or he'll just contact me if he hadn't contacted my coach first, then he'll just contact me.
Sure. Can you give us a list of like 4 schools just out of the realm?
Snow College in Ephraim, Utah, Northwest Nazarene, Walla Walla Community College, Multnomah University in Portland, and St. Francis, this is a school in Illinois. Those are just some schools.
Boy, that'd be a long way to go to Illinois.
Yeah.
Indeed. Anything else you'd like to share with us?
I don't know. I can't really.
That's okay.
Nothing particular.
That's me at about 6:05 every morning, sir. We appreciate you. Good luck, and we can't wait to hear about your success.
Thank you.
Now, do you like driving to the hoop or hitting the outside shot? Which is your game?
I like doing both, but I definitely love shooting.
All right.
That's my favorite thing.
Jake Polton, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Joined by our great friend Jeffrey Katz, The Secret Life. Mr. Katz, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here with you, Kevin.
Good to have you with us here. So what do you think of the state of America? We've got so many people going on and on about Representative Omar and what's going on in Congress. Obviously, the shootings in New Zealand. Your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, well, we've obviously got a very polarized nation here and getting more polarized all the time. I think, we all need to step back, take a deep breath, and see what kind of common ground we can find to move forward together.
I'm sure that's easier said than done.
Yeah, that's true. We do have some, foundations and principles to fall back on. My book, The Secret Life, a book of wisdom, talks about the principles of Maimonides. He's a guy, he lived about 800 years ago, one of the greatest minds of the past 1,000 years. But I'll give you some examples, Kevin, of principles of his which are so applicable today and which we could use. I mean, for example, Maimonides said that in these situations you have to look at actions, and actions are a lot easier to change than attitudes. So Maimonides would say, don't wait, never mind the polarization, see where you have common ground. For example, you could have a bilateral program, jobs retraining. Pick two states, a red state and a blue state, two poor states, and put a, massive jobs retraining program with an infrastructure project in those states. Retrain people, create thousands of new jobs. The polarization will be there, but it's that the actions are easier to change than the attitudes. And then over time, if you find common ground to do things together, over time the attitudes will probably follow suit as well. So it's hard. It's hard. I'm not trying to, soft-soap this, but there are real ways to move forward, and unfortunately we're not doing it.
Indeed, and when we take a look at just the vitriol that goes on, and just to follow up on my question, Rabbi Katz, it's, how do we tone it down? Is it possible to do that?
I think the first step toward toning it down is sometimes an admission and a recognition of things. The statements of Representative Omar were so over the top. I mean, it's the same vitriol and canards about Jews that were used in Nazi Germany 80 years ago. And it's not like, it's just another stereotype. Oh, there was another insult of a racial group. This really was different and called for a different response because a few decades ago, these exact types of canards resulted in millions of Jews being gassed and cremated and just brutally murdered. It would be ignoring the unique history of Jews and the themes that Jews can't be loyal citizens of their country, they owe allegiances to some, foreign power, and that they control everything through money, media, or otherwise. This is really seriously evil stuff. And once there's a recognition of that, we can move beyond it. The problem is that the House leadership and the House were not even able to pass a resolution condemning the anti-Semitism. That's why it's hard. So, there has to be a recognition first, and then I think it's easier to move on ahead.
Right. But, as kids taught at a certain age, we would have never thought that we would have any type of anti-Semitism going on in America today, but we do. Right.
Isn't it incredible? We're all praying, Kevin, that this is not the dawn of a new era, and this is not a harbinger of things to come, but that it's rather going to be an aberration. But to do that, it's not like these things happen automatically. You look at the relationship between the United States and Israel. It's based on shared values of life and liberty. Israel is a bulwark of democracy, in the Middle East, the only democracy in the Middle East. Civil rights, women's rights, gay rights. You name it. For minority groups, Israel was on the forefront of giving rights to those groups, way ahead of the United States and way ahead even of some of the liberal countries in Western Europe. So it's really because of shared values that you have the strength of the America-Israel alliance. To say that it's, a phony alliance based on foreign elements is really something dangerous. And again, we have to hope that those shared values are going to be not only the values that, uphold the relationship between Israel, the United States, and all of their Western allies, among all the other countries that we need to build alliances with, obviously, but also within the United States. I mean, somehow, if rejecting anti-Semitism is not something we can all get around in light of the amazing persecution of Jews beyond that of other peoples. There were no other peoples that 6 million were gassed to death in the past century. I mean, there were other peoples that had brutal massacres against them, but in terms of these themes of anti-Semitism, the Jews are unique. So it would be like trying to deal with the issues that African Americans face in this country without looking at the history of slavery in this country. You can't do it, because the history of slavery is so part and parcel of the African American experience of this country. So too in the Jewish case regarding the Holocaust and, these same themes of lies like Representative Omar had brought up. So, people really do need to rally in the right direction here, I think.
Rabbi Jeffrey Katz joining us, The Secret Life. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. So we take a look 2 or 3 years down the road. Actually, let's take a look a year from now, the presidential campaign fully in swing. Maybe there's a nominee, maybe there isn't. How do you think the issue of Israel will play with the eventual Democratic nominee? That they all seem to be pandering to whoever can be the biggest progressive lately.
Yeah, the Democratic Party is really split now, almost down the middle between the establishment, old guard, versus these, the newcomers who really have very, very different ideas. They have ideas of, kind of some utopian socialist type of country where the government is really in control of everything, because being in control of all carbon emissions means you're basically in control of everything on the economic front. And then, as you say, on the social front, we've got a lot of, new ideas, even newer than the ones recently, which include seemingly a deep hostility to Israel and also to traditional Western values, the values that basically got us and Europe here in the first place. So I think it depends on, it sounds so simple, but it really depends on who the Democratic nominee is going to wind up being. If you see a Democratic nominee from the new, the new wing, if you will, of the Democratic Party, it's not going to be a pretty picture. I also don't think it'll be a pretty picture for the Democrats in that election if they go that way, because they're really going to lose a lot of the middle of the country who would otherwise be Democratic voters. So, I think the Democrats are going to have to think long and hard about values and where they really want to be and what kind of values we really want to be passing on to the next generation.
The Secret Life, get it at Amazon.com. Rabbi Katz, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Kevin. God bless.
God bless. Ray Amaya, I just saw your email. Do we have anybody on the line? I apologize for people that have been holding and I haven't gotten to them. Okay. Thank you, Ray. Let's go to Liberty Linda. Good morning. I'm sorry I didn't get you earlier. Good morning.
No, that's fine. I'm loving the show this morning. I think our Max is right, Kevin. Dirt on our congressmen and women. Why else would some supposedly are very conservative there vote so against our country? I've often wondered that. So I think Max is right. And regarding our university celebrity bribes for their children, wouldn't you want your child to have an education? I mean, a good education and not a fake one? Don't we want our children to have wisdom? Like Casey, the student you interviewed this morning, he said it's all about life skills. I love the young adults that you interview. He's right. It's all about life skills. Now, wouldn't you think those celebrities would want that for their children instead of a fake degree? Anyway, it amazes me what's going on in our country in all areas, especially some of those of whom we watch in movies that we admire.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Liberty Linda. What do you make of the Senate voting along with this resolution purported by Nancy Pelosi.
Well, that's just it. That's just one of the things I was going to say. You know, I think Schumer and Pelosi want all the power. They don't care about the rest of, anyone up there in Washington. They just want to control everything. And so that's what I see what's going on up there. And whatever Trump wants, I want. I believe he has such common sense for the United States. I think he's led truly by God. I really do. I think he has totally saved our nation. And so we look at what's going on in our world, and it's unbelievable. We can't believe it. This new shooting, why? Why all these shootings? For no reason, it seems like. So it hurts us. It hurts us inside. We feel pain for these people, no matter what country it is, no matter who they are. We feel for them. And so anyway, so I wanted to make a comment about Mitt Romney. I have a big question mark there with Mitt Romney, and I know him personally. And, some of the things he's done so far lately, I wonder if he's conservative at all. He comes out. I voted for him here in Utah. And now I wish I hadn't have. He came out immediately and went against our president. And so, no, if he runs for president, I'm afraid I won't be for him this time. He's done too many things that I think have been against our country lately.
Liberty Linda, thank you for your patience.
Wow. Thank you, Kevin. You're wonderful. You have
God
a wonderful
bless.
day.
You take care.
Well. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio.
What is Channel 7's Eric Gebhardt?
And by the way, people in Washington are talking. Here's Representative Ocasio-Cortez on Mitch McConnell.
I wish that he would also prioritize H.R. 1, which actually reinstates voting rights and helps get money out of politics. But he doesn't seem to be interested in improving our democracy. He seems more interested in running procedural votes.
So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Plus, here's her thoughts on the New Green or the Green New Deal, whichever you prefer.
The Green New Deal is all about mass investment in infrastructure and jobs, particularly we're talking about steel workers, electrical workers. There's there's so much work to do in transitioning to 100% renewable energy, and we have to do that work with union labor. We have to do that work with by reinvigorating our entire workforce.
That's a lot of work. Who's going to pay for it next? With Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin.
And blessed to be with you, Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We got the mics on, gentlemen. We're ready to go. All right. It is my privilege to introduce the Columbia High School Women's Choir.
Who can sail when the winds don't blow? Oars are needed for rowing. Who can guard with one's heart and blood? Part when your tears are flowing.
Great job, guys. Thank you very much. Outstanding. Appreciate it. Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. If we have some folks that would like to speak, we'll get to them. Also, we'll take your calls. And don't forget, KIDOTalkRadio.com. We've got a major story up there. Should the voting age be lowered to 16? Some congressional Democrats say yes. And we'll take your calls on that as well. Would you like the voting age to be raised till 16? Guys, we really need you to get up here and grab the microphones as we move along here this morning. Thanks to CapEd Credit Union and Team Mazda Subaru. We'll start with you, ma'am. Your name, please.
Chelsea Wheatley.
Okay, Chelsea, we'll have you move into the mic so people can hear you, as well as you, ma'am. Your thoughts, your name?
Eternity Ferguson.
Tell us a little bit about why you love the choir.
Well, I love the choir because, it's something that we can express our ways of, feeling through singing and like helping other people with like emotions wise. So like the more you sing, like you can express the way you feel.
Sure. We'll still have you a little closer to the mic there. Is it easy?
Not really. There's parts that are very difficult. You learn a lot of new things.
And how has that helped you grow?
Well, so music is something that like I've always loved. So when you take like different types of music classes, choir has helped me learn different ways of succeeding in music.
Do we really get how important music is? You got to speak up close to the mic.
I don't think that people usually understand how much important music is to some people, because like some people that's the only way they can express how they feel, and just some people just don't get that.
Well, why choir for you? Why do you love the choir?
I like the choir for the same reason, and like I can express it through other ways, but like this is the easiest for me, and like I just feel like that's how it works.
Does it help you in your other classes?
Yeah, like when I have music in my ears, or like it helps me study.
Right? So it's easy. Choir is easy.
Not exactly. You have to practice a lot to get like your right pitch and stuff like that.
Right. Okay. Well, great job there. Now, how long have you been in the choir?
Actually, this is my first year doing choir.
Yeah? So was it intimidating at first?
Actually, yes, it was very scary. One of the reasons that I joined choir was my little sister was doing it, and she told me that I should join.
You followed your little sister? Wow. Okay. And you? First year, second year?
First.
First year?
Year or two. I joined just because I've always loved singing. It's just my first opportunity to.
Sure. Now, when we take a look at what's next for you guys, obviously you're still in high school, you're still very young. Where do you see yourself going?
Well, I want to go do music, of course, after high school. I want to probably try and be a music teacher, so it all just depends on where that happens.
Sure, sure.
I want to be an actress, so I just feel like that might give it a little, like, help with that, because knowing how to sing, it gives more opportunities.
Yeah, everybody thinks they can sing.
That's
Not
true.
everybody can sing.
That's true.
I can tell you that from experience.
Mm-hmm.
Performing in front of others, is that scary?
Yes, very. It's very nerve-wracking, like having other people see you sing when you're not very comfortable doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Then why do it?
It's just like another way to express.
Sure,
So.
sure.
So I think it is very scary singing in front of people, because it's like the fact that you're worried about their judgment and what they're going to think of you, but I actually really like it because of the adrenaline.
Right.
So when you sing in front of people, it's like showing them like this is my voice and this is how I express my feelings.
Sure. As a music teacher, and that's several years away for you, what lessons have you learned that you'll be able to impart to your future students?
Well, don't force. For one, you can ruin your voice. I've had a lot of music teachers help me out through high school, so that's something that I would like to do, is help the other students as well and be there not only as a teacher but also as a friend.
Sure. And what about you? When you're talking about being an actress, that's a lot of stress.
It is. I've been in shows before. It can get stressful, but it's what it is.
Sure. Well, it's so important to live your dreams. Anything else you'd like to share with us? Well, I hardly got a word in edgewise with you two. But thank you very much. We so appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. We go now to Tea Party Bob, who joins us on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Tea Party Bob.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. I just love the choir. They sound terrific.
I thought of you, and that's why we went to them before we went to you, because you can hold a note with the best of them.
Well, that was very kind of you. You know, we have a huge investigation of parents cheating and bribing college officials to get their kids into a particular school, and we're going to prosecute them for the alleged crimes. At the same time, we have someone like Elizabeth Warren, who's supposed to be setting an example for our kids and parents while she used affirmative action to increase her opportunities and chances for success. You know, affirmative action was designed and created for Native Americans so they could climb the economic ladder, and it was targeted specifically at them to overcome the centuries of discrimination, dispersal of tribal lands. These programs were not designed to help people falsely posing as Indians. Now, Elizabeth Warren repeatedly, deliberately sought to benefit for her personal and academic employment life by posing as a Native American. University of Pennsylvania Law School in 2005 even listed her in a minority report as a Native American. Now, shouldn't she be held to a higher standard than the ordinary citizen? You know, Harvard Law listed her as a Native American on the faculty when she taught there. There's still no specific evidence that she gained her position at Harvard, at least not in part through her claims of being a Native American. But the question begs an answer and an investigation. You know, this is a woman running for the highest office in our country, who we believe has lied to obtain the position she's in today. Now, is this the kind of person we want setting an example for our children? Now, many of our politicians have terrible morals, ethics, and other very bad habits that should not be instilled in our children, yet we continue to allow them to thrive on their lives and reelect them to office. They are prosecuting 33 parents for bribery, and many of the children are going to lose their spots in universities for crimes they committed. Yet Elizabeth Warren has no ramifications to what she has done. Warren should not be able to escape liability for her deceptions, and the Texas bar should open an ethics investigation for false representations about her identity, and so should the Senate Ethics Committee. You know, if our politicians can get away with lying and cheating and stealing without any repercussions, why shouldn't the parents and children who elected them not think that they could do the same thing and get away with it?
Well, you know, it really comes down to with Elizabeth Warren. Those are great points that, you know, you're talking about fraud.
Absolutely. What's different about what she did compared to what the parents did? I don't see any difference whatsoever. She did it for personal gain. And yet we're talking about her being the next president. Excuse me, there's something drastically wrong with what's going on in our country. And it starts with the electorate.
All right, Tea Party Bob, thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. All right. Let's continue on. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Let's go to Bob in San Antonio, Texas on KIDO Talk Radio in Idaho.
Hey, Tea Party Bob, right on. Hey, I got just a quick, view. If you were to ask, some of these students there, if they're aware that originally in this country you had to be a landowner to vote, and then over the course of the 200-plus years, that's dwindled down to where they're actually talking about 16-year-olds voting. So if you were to ask one, in your own way, do they think they know enough about how the country operates and that it is not a democracy, but a representative republic? Do they think they know enough to cast a knowledgeable vote and not an ignorant vote following whatever David Muir says on TV or anyone else? Sean Penn. So would you ask one or two of them that and let them pause before they answer then with a cogent, thought? Would that be all right?
Well, sure. Well, what do you make of that move by Nancy Pelosi that the voting age should be lowered to 16?
Well, look, man. Well, that's just obvious. She's got to she's got to stay in power. And she's not getting any vote from anybody that knows any wisdom at all. She has to have ignorant voters. And so, and I'm not saying that 16-year-olds are stupid. They are ignorant. They have not lived long enough to gain life experience to develop that into wisdom. And that's the problem. So Nancy Pelosi, look, man, I think sometimes that woman is possessed by a demon. She want to know the truth. Because I'll tell you what, man, she's just pure evil. So, that's my answer.
Well, Bob, we appreciate you joining us from San Antonio. Take care, brother.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And appreciate everybody listening. By the way, KIDO Talk Radio, we want to thank our folks at Town Square Media for having enough faith in this radio station, Idaho's first radio station, that the station has its own app. And why that is important is you don't have to go through some third-party person to get KIDO Talk Radio. It's free. It's on Google Play. It's in the App Store. All you have to do, you'll put in KIDO Talk Radio, and the app will appear. If you have one of these fancy-dancy digital dashboards, you just boom. For me personally, I'm a terrestrial radio guy, but if you love the streaming, if you want to take us anywhere with your phone, you could just sign up for the app. Details available at our website, KIDOTalkRadio.com, and it's really cool and neat. And, of course, when you join, you'll get, app notifications, and not like the other jabronis, because who wants to get an app and then get spammed all the time? We only do it for significant and special occasions to make sure that you're in the know on things going on here in the Treasure Valley or national politics that certainly impact our lives. Once again, we are at Columbia High School. Kevin Miller in the morning. Let's go to Jeff Manasso, who joins us now from Fox News Radio. Jeff, good morning.
What's a jabroni?
A jabroni? Okay, I think we're having a little feedback there because I'm hearing myself.
Kevin, how are you?
I am good. Jabroni is kind of a fool. A jobber in the pro wrestling genre is someone who's paid to lose. A jabroni is kind of a goof.
Gotcha. Happy Friday.
So let's talk about Mr. Smollett, who is in court today or is in court recently and has given the court a plea.
Yeah, so he's digging in on basically for a trial on 16 felony counts stemming from the alleged hate crime hoax. So Jussie Smollett, through his lawyer yesterday, was in court here in Cook County and entering a plea of not guilty to the 16 federal counts handed down by the federal grand jury last week. That's on top of the one count of lying that Chicago police pinned on him weeks ago when he was arrested in a case that went from possible racist hate crime perpetrated by white supporters of President Trump to alleged racist hate hoax that Chicago prosecutors say the black gay actor staged in January with the help of two of his friends.
Right, two of his friends indeed. Of course, national, international attention. Law enforcement in this case, and really any case similar, which there aren't that many, but when you're accused of filing a false police report, they take that very seriously.
Well, in a case like this that was high profile, it involved a Hollywood actor, it involved a city that's kind of been wrapped up in stories along this line where it gave a bad light, not only to the city, but the Chicago Police Department that's been under scrutiny over the last several years over several different types of cases. And so, you saw reaction from Eddie Johnson, the police superintendent here, the top cop, who was frustrated and furious, flanked by dozens and dozens of police officers and investigators who spent thousands of man-hours on this case to get to the bottom of what happened. And we now know, based on what prosecutors say, that Smollett's friends who helped him pull this off, and they're key witnesses against him, whose attorneys say were manipulated and betrayed by Jussie Smollett. So they're key witnesses to the case, and we're told that while the defense is standing firm as innocent, prosecutors say that their evidence is really overwhelming, and so it's going to go to trial. He's back in court next month, April 17th, and Smollett remains free on bond, and so it's going to continue.
How big a story is this locally?
It's pretty big. It's a pretty big story, and one of the things that I think is also important to point out is that while like the Covington case and like other cases where the media and many others, glom on to a certain narrative, the local press here in Chicago didn't necessarily take it, take it as truth. They looked into it. They wanted to get to the bottom of it, and they wanted to investigate it. And we were railed against in terms of the local press by the Smollett team and others for not necessarily taking it, hook, line, and sinker, that this was a true story, and because it just didn't add up, and we were reporting that. So it's become a huge story, and in part because of the pushback by the Smollett side of things that basically calls the press a bunch of liars, police department a bunch of liars, who are trying to save face amid this type of scandal and for all sorts of different reasons that are being thrown out there. And but it's a big story. It's a big story here.
Jeff Manasso, we appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
You too.
You're listening to Kevin Miller from Columbia High School on KIDO Talk Radio.
Is looking forward is all about mass investment in infrastructure and jobs, particularly we're talking about steel workers, electrical workers. There's there's so much work to do in transitioning to 100% renewable energy, and we have to do that work with union labor. We have to do that work with by reinvigorating our entire workforce.
There we have it, Representative Ocasio-Cortez talking about the Green New Deal. Now, it's interesting when she talks about this, she's saying that we have to do it with union labor and union workers, but that's going to add an incredible amount of cost to this. So I sit back and I think to myself, is this really the way to go? And look, it's great to have proposals, but really to make them worthwhile, to put them in action, how are we going to pay for it?
I wish that he would also prioritize H.R. 1, which actually reinstates voting rights and helps get money out of politics. But he doesn't seem to be interested in improving our democracy. He seems more interested in running procedural votes.
There you have it. All of 29 commenting on Mitch McConnell. Of course, she's very frustrated that the Green New Deal or the New Green Deal or the Green Eggs and ham or Green Acres hasn't been brought to the forefront. We'll continue to take your phone calls on this at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Good morning, Dave.
107's Eric Gebert.
Kevin Miller, of course, Glenn and Sean and Lars will be talking about this all day long, this vote that happened in the Senate. And I go back to it. Why in the world would you vote against a resolution if you're a Republican when you know that the President of the United States is going to veto it? Politically, it doesn't make sense unless, as we have thought about and shared with you, there's some type of deep state working within the GOP to undermine the president. That's opportunity one, and we'll have more on that throughout the day. And number two, the legislature, they're going to continue to debate all these things. It's time to ratchet up the pressure on them, repeal the state's grocery tax. As we said, and I don't like to be right on this one, when you start yapping about, well, we're going to do it next year. Gee, do you notice any effective legislation that the grassroots good people of Idaho want seems to only happen during election years? Let's stop the cycle. Kevin Miller wishing you a great day. God bless. Ray Amaya, great job. Jake Dillon, great job. Thank you, Columbia High School. God bless and keep the faith.